Good morning, my friend. I hope you're doing well. It is early in the morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, 27 April 2021, and I hope things are going well for you. You're going to have a blessed day. It's going to be amazing. And when I say blessed, of course, I mean Macarios, happy. You're going to have a happy day because you understand who you are, whose you are, and what your life's about. And if you don't, that's why you're here. I'm coming at you today with another one of these Wyoming tapes. This is number 4 of the episodes that got stranded when we moved hosting providers, and people have been resonating with these. And this one is important. It was originally January 28th, 2018, and I called it It's Not Brain Surgery. This is the episode where we first really broke down the idea behind why you need to learn self-brain surgery. It's an important episode, really kind of set up the infinitely happier idea that I came around to later when I finally understood exactly what Jesus was talking about in John 10:10 when he said he came here to give us an abundant life, even in the face of the hard things that we'll have to deal with in life. So this is an important episode, and I'm sorry about my voice. I've got kind of a little cold or something. I don't sound quite as energetic as normal, but I am super excited to bring you these ideas. This is the genesis of when I first figured out that you can't change your life until you change your mind. And as always, if you want to do self-brain surgery, you got to start today. Hey, I'm so glad to have you listening. I'm Dr. Lee Warren. I live in Nebraska in the United States of America with my incredible wife, Lisa Warren, and the super pups, Harvey and Lewis. I'm a neurosurgeon and an author, and I'm here to help you harness neuroscience, the power of your brain, faith, the power of your spirit, and good old common sense to help you lead a healthier, better, happier life. Listen, friend, you can't change your life until you change your mind, and I'm here to help you learn the art of self-brain surgery. To get that done, you can get the show notes and more on my website at wleewarrenmd.com. And if you like the show, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Tell your friends about it, and if you tell 2 or 3 friends and share it all over the world, how much farther can this positive message go? I'm Dr. Lee Warren. We're here to help you change your mind so you can change your life. Let's get after it. I've got some news for you, my friend. Brain surgery is not the hardest thing in the world. Oh, I know it's thought of that way, which is why the phrase, it's not brain surgery, is so widely used, except by rocket scientists who have their own, much more obscure phrase. Today I want to talk to you about the fact that brain surgery is actually something that anyone could learn. And I would suggest to you that it's something that we need to learn if we want to become healthier, feel better, and be happier in our lives. Now, I should point out that I'm not talking about physical, in the operating room brain surgery. You do actually have to go to school to learn that. And I wish you would, because I need a partner. But that's another story. I'm always saying that you can't change your life until you change your mind. And learning to purposefully and strategically manage our minds and change our thinking is how we learn the art of self-brain surgery. The truth is, it's easy. It's not rocket science. But me saying it all the time isn't the same as you understanding it. So I realize that you're probably like Ricky Ricardo, who was always telling Lucy, you got some splaining to do. And today, I've got some splaining to do for you. Hey, today we're going to get real, go deep, and learn how to change our minds using self-brain surgery. We're going to change our lives by changing our minds, and we're going to start today. Welcome to You Start Today, the Dr. Lee Warren weekly podcast to help you change your mind to accomplish real changes in your life. If you're ready to become healthier, feel better, and be happier in your mind, body, spirit, work, and relationships, keep coming back for my best prescriptions every week. And every day, start today. I'm Dr. Lee Warren, a brain surgeon/writer who knows that life is harder than brain surgery. I've been on the ropes, but I've learned the secrets of not just surviving the war of life, but how to thrive. You can too, but you have to start today. And I know you can do it because it's not brain surgery, except that it sort of is. This is episode 67. It's not brain surgery. You can get the show notes and more on my website at wleewarrenmd.com/067. Listen, you can't change your life until you change your mind. And sometimes you need a brain surgeon to help you do that. So let's go. Well, if you're new to the show, or if you don't get my newsletter, which you can get for free at wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter, you might be wondering what all this talk about changing our mind is about. But seriously, you need my newsletter. Trust me. Every Monday we talk about important stuff you can't get here on the podcast, on my blog, or in my books. The newsletter is the place where we get deep, get real, and get serious about having the best life we can have. It's read all over the world in 40 countries in every state of the USA every Monday, and you need it. Please go get it. wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter. But I digress. We're talking today about self-brain surgery to help us learn to change our minds, and I want you to know why that is so important. First, let's talk about my real work, my flesh and blood brain surgery work for a second. My patient comes to me because of some problem, like headaches or memory loss or paralysis, and we get an MRI, and we find a tumor or a hemorrhage or an infection. Then we go to the operating room. I put the patient to sleep and clamp their head to the table, shave their scalp, cut their skin open, saw a hole in the skull, and use a knife to cut into the dura mater, which is the covering over the brain. Then I get inside, attack the tumor or whatever the problem is, and when I'm all done, when I've done everything I can do, I sew up the dura, screw the skull back together with metal plates, and sew the scalp closed. There's blood loss, there's pain, there's swelling, and there's a lot of time to recover. It's expensive, it hurts, and it's dangerous and scary for people to have to go through it. But over time, it usually helps. The symptoms improve or disappear, the scans look better, and people are happier, healthier, and they go on with their lives. But it takes several things happening to reach the improvement. Number one, the patient has to recognize that there's a problem. Then they have to admit it, first to themselves and then to others. And when they admit they need help, they seek help and submit to my expertise in this area, that's when things start to turn around. They have to let me help them before they can get better. Self-brain surgery, on the other hand, is vastly simpler, but the principles are the same. You recognize a symptom. Let's say you're depressed, you're anxious, you're scared, you believe you're worthless, you believe you've been rejected and it's all your fault. You're broke, you're unemployed, you wonder if you're lovable, you're worried about having enough money for retirement, you're not sure God loves you or if God's even real. Whatever it is, you can't stop thinking about it. It's becoming overwhelming for you. It's dominating your thoughts. It's ruining your life. The first thing you have to do is admit it. You have a problem. And then, like I do in the exam room when I show you the MRI, you have to understand, my friend, that you and the problem you have are not the same thing. I can go to the operating room and find a way to separate the tumor from your brain. The tumor is not your brain. It's in your brain, but it is not your brain. And you have to be able to separate you from the things that you think about. And that sounds funny, but if you think about it for a second, how often when you feel sad do you say, I'm sad? When you feel unloved, do you say, I'm unlovable? When you feel financially strained, do you say, I'm unsuccessful? My psychiatry professor in med school used to say, feelings are not facts. The truth is, my friend, you are not the things that you think about unless you choose to be. So the first part of self-brain surgery is making the correct diagnosis that your overwhelming thought, since it is not who you are, is something that you have the power to change. It's not simple, but it's also not rocket science. Hey, shout out to my friend Mark Jones, who actually is a rocket science type guy. NASA test pilot, super smart dude. Hey, Mark. But just like my patients in the office, you realize that many times you can't fix everything by yourself. Sometimes you need professional help, and sometimes, yes, you need a brain surgeon. Listen, it's no problem to admit you need help. You're still the hero of your own story if you get the help you need, make the appropriate changes, and win the battle of your own life. Every story you've ever read essentially follows one central plot line. Thanks to New York Times bestselling writer Donald Miller for simplifying this so well in a little book that he wrote about how to write a story. Donald Miller says all great stories go something like this. A hero has a problem and meets a guide. The guide shows him the way, calls him to action, and the result of that action is either a comedy, success, or a tragedy, failure. Think about it. From Gilgamesh to John Grisham, from Homer to Harry Potter, and from yoga to You Start Today, the formula for a great story is that people need a guide to point them to their own victory, right? So don't think it's character flaw to need help. In fact, it's just life. We all need a guide, a spouse, a helper, a friend, a doctor, someone to help us through these rough spots. Now, I should say at this point, if you're so depressed that you can't get out of bed, if you're so anxious you can't leave your house, if you're so OCD that you remove your oven from your house and take it to your car wash in your pickup to clean it, I've seen that, by the way, then this podcast isn't enough for you. You need to go see a doctor, a psychiatrist, a therapist, or someone. You shouldn't substitute podcasts for real professional help. I'm a great doctor, but I'm not your doctor in this regard. But if your issue is largely related to how you think, then keep listening. And if you think you don't have any issues, as our pastor Chris Hodges used to say, if you think you don't have any issues, that's your issue. Because you can't change your life until you change your mind. I'm always saying that. And in future episodes, we're going into specifics about relational, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, leadership, occupational, and other types of self-brain surgery. But for the rest of this week, I just want to implore you to understand how important it is to learn how to master your thought life. Do you remember the old children's book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? It goes something like this. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want some milk. If you give him some milk, he's going to want a bedtime story. If he wants a bedtime story, he's going to have to go to the bathroom. If he has to go to the bathroom, he's going to want another cookie. And it just kind of wanders around and goes back and forth. I want you to think about your mind like this. When you change your mind, you improve how your brain works. When you improve how your brain works, you improve your neurochemistry. When you improve your neurochemistry, you improve your mood. When you improve your mood, you improve your outlook. When you improve your outlook, you improve your confidence. When you improve your confidence, so on and on and on it goes. When you change your mind, my friend, you change your life. You can have more happiness. You can have more opportunity, better relationships, healthier finances. Everything changes when you learn the art of self-brain surgery and how to change your mind. Let me give you some background on me. A lot of times, we read blogs, we listen to podcasts, we read books, and we think the person writing them has authority to teach us something because they must have been perfect, or they must have a perfect life, or they're perfectly happy. But the most powerful people, I think the most influential people, are those who have overcome some great adversity. So let me just tell you something about me. I've been divorced. I've been to war in Iraq, and I know what it's like to be mortared, to be rocketed, to have young soldiers die in my hands, and to come home and live with that. And in 2013, we lost our son Mitchell. So trust me when I say that I understand life is hard. When I talk about being happy, I'm not saying that life is easy or that you should ignore the painful things and act happy anyway. Hear me say this, my friend. Life is hard. It's a war. But we have to live it anyway, and there's no sense letting this hard life make you miserable or scared or otherwise unhappy, because there is one fundamental truth to brain science, and that is you can feel better by thinking better. Now, hear me carefully. I am a highly trained neuroscientist and surgeon, and I know that it's not psychologically healthy to just slap a smile on your face and fake it till you make it. It's not healthy to pretend like everything's okay when it's not. That's not what I'm talking about. If we want to be psychologically healthy people, we must acknowledge our challenges and issues and learn to manage them appropriately. I'm talking about something deeper, a secret that will fundamentally change your life for the better. Here it is. Are you listening? Life is hard, but you can be happy anyway. It starts with a deep commitment, a fundamental commitment that we will not give circumstances or other people the ability to define us, label us, assign value to us, or otherwise control us or take the power from us to be happy. You as an individual, created and loved enough by the God of the universe to die for your sins, are uniquely valuable, my friend. No one and nothing other than God's love for you is allowed to tell you how valuable you are, because God says you're worth more than the whole world to him. That's a fact, and you can read John 3 and Luke 15 in the New Testament of the Bible for more about how important you are to God. You can email me, lee@drleewarren.com, if you want to talk about that more. I'm saying all of that to say this next phrase. Listen, the difficult circumstances of our lives seem or feel like they have immense power to harm us, define us, cloud our brains with negative thoughts and limiting stories, and make us believe that we can never get over, get past, or get on with our lives if certain things have happened, certain people have mistreated us, certain relationships have ended, certain financial realities have come upon us, etc. Here's an example from my life. Shortly after we lost our son, a woman talked to me about a support group she was in for grief. She told me how her sister had lost a child 20 years before, and this lady who was talking to me had been going to a weekly grief support group every Monday night for 20 years. She said how hard it was for her to lose her nephew, and how she had simply never been able to stop grieving, and the group really helped. She invited us to be part of it. This was one of many such invitations we received, and I've seen firsthand in numerous patients and friends how important support groups can be in helping people deal with painful situations. But I realized something. This lady, who was so kindly invited us to her support group, had become, over the years, completely identified by and defined by the fact that she lost a nephew. That one tragedy in her life turned into the thing that she focused on every day for the rest of her life. It became a defining characteristic of who she was. And Lisa and I, after a few months, realized that we had to make some decisions about our grief. We recognized the power of allowing grief to intercalate itself into our lives and become something by which we were identified. And we changed our minds. We acknowledged that we would always be bereaved parents, but that we would not perpetually live in a bereaved state. Make no mistake, I miss my son at every moment of every day. As I record this episode, his 24th birthday is coming up in about 2 weeks. I miss Mitchell, and I am devastated by his loss as much today as I ever have been, and I will never get over that. But I am not defined by or powerless to be forever imprisoned in the emotional state of having lost a child. Because, my friend, I would rather live in a place of gratitude for who my son was than in a place of grief for having lost him. Does that make sense to you? Lisa and I changed our minds, and we accepted the reality of the circumstance that our son died. But we also acknowledged that losing Mitch could only have the power to ruin the rest of our lives if we chose to let it do so. And that would have harmed our other children, our marriage, our grandkids, our business, and everything about our lives. Instead, we committed to honoring Mitch's life by helping other people process their pain and learn to survive and thrive through the wars of their lives, to redeem our loss by helping others in theirs. We chose to accept the reality of losing our son and let our response to that loss become something that would make Mitch proud, to make something good come from the worst thing imaginable. And that decision has led to my blog, my newsletter, this podcast, my books, and this worldwide movement called You Start Today. But changing our minds on such a deep and fundamental level didn't just happen overnight. It took work. It took effort. It took self-brain surgery. Here's another example, this one from my neurosurgery practice. I meet a lot of people who have chronic pain. I'm sorry, I'm a little stuffy today, so I apologize for the sniffles. But I meet a lot of people who have chronic pain. It's a huge part of my work as a neurosurgeon, trying to relieve pain and suffering. But I've noticed something about patients who have chronic pain. They come in two flavors. There are some people who understand that their pain is telling them something, and they come to me to figure out what's wrong, what can be done about it. But they're still living their lives. They're still working. They're still bathing. They're still taking care of themselves and their families. They don't deny that it hurts, but they have made a decision that the pain will not define their lives. The other group has become something altogether different. Their pain becomes who they are. They give into it, almost worship it. It becomes the centerpiece of their relationships, and family dynamics revolve around mom or dad's back pain. It changes how they dress, how they work, how often they bathe, and their lives become about seeking medicines for the pain, disability payments for the pain, lawsuits to be compensated for the pain. And every aspect of their life is related to, in one way or another, the pain. And over the years, I've figured out there's no real statistical difference in these two groups of patients in terms of the severity of the underlying problem or our ability to make it better with surgery. The difference is in how they think. Look, Tony Robbins says that emotion follows motion. And he's right. Our old pastor Chris Hodges says actions lead and feelings follow. There's no doubt that when you make a decision to move and do something, you feel better. There's no doubt that when you think better, you act better. Other people respond to you better. You become more confident. Your heart math improves. Your vibe changes, and people like it. They respect you more. They listen to you more, and you become more of a leader. Your kids improve. Your marriage improves. Your life improves, and you become healthier. You feel better, and you feel happier. When you change your mind, you change your life. And you can change your mind with self-brain surgery. By learning how to ignore those automatic negative thoughts, or ants as Daniel Amen calls them, that life has taught us to think about. By learning that feelings can be dirty, rotten liars. They're not always true. Feelings are decent barometers to tell you what's going on, but they are terrible compasses to tell you where to go. By learning that not everything we think about turns out to be true, so we should discipline ourselves to inspect our thoughts, challenge them, refine them, and control them, and replace them with better ones that we know to be true. Let me give you a checklist. Courtesy of the Apostle Paul in Philippians 4:8. This is from the Voice translation of the Bible. Finally, brothers and sisters, fill your minds with beauty and truth. Meditate on whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good, whatever is virtuous and praiseworthy. Listen, my friend, if you take command of your thoughts, if you perform the bad thought biopsy and replace those cancerous, limiting, harmful, lying notions that are trying to direct your steps with things that are honorable, things that are good, pure, and lovely, you'll see your brain chemistry improve, and you'll watch your life start feeling better. You're the hero in your own story, no matter what life has felt like so far. I can be a guide, or you might have another one, a pastor, a writer, a good friend, your spouse, or your mom or dad, or a therapist. Memorize that verse I mentioned, Philippians 4:8, and use it as a mental checklist. Tell yourself, I'm not going to spend time thinking about things that don't fit that list. Watch what happens if you do that, my friend. I'm not saying to ignore your bills because you think it's not lovely to think about debt, by the way. This isn't an exercise in ignoring reality. I'm talking about how you think about you. Is it time for some self-brain surgery? In coming weeks, we'll look at several specific areas in which we often need some self-brain surgery. But for now, I just want you to know what I mean when I say this. You can't change your life until you change your mind. I'm going to give you some tools to use in that life-saving operation, self-brain surgery. But you have to identify the problem, articulate the symptoms, admit you need help, even if it's just from yourself. You have to sign up for self-brain surgery, and you have to start today. Hey, thanks for listening. The Dr. Lee Warren podcast is listener-supported. Check out patron.podbean.com/Dr. Lee Warren, patron.podbean.com/Dr. Lee Warren. Patrons and partners get free books, transcripts, and at least once a month special patron-only episodes that nobody else gets to have. Partners like you allow us to stay ad-free and keep growing. Hey, please subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And if you need prayer, or if you're willing to join with us in praying for people all over the world, head to wleewarrenmd.com/prayer, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer. It's a beautiful prayer community coming around all over the world for people connecting and praying for and with each other. And that's really why we're coming out with the Infinitely Happier app. And to get the app, you're going to need to be on the newsletter. wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter is where you go for my weekly prescriptions for how to change your mind and change your life, but also to get all the info about the Infinitely Happier app and everything else that's going on. Please pray for us. May the 6th, we'll find out about the Christian Book Awards. Of course, I'm a finalist for Biography and Memoir of the Year and Christian Book of the Year, and we'll find out on May 6th. Please pray about that for us, and I appreciate it. Hey, the theme for the show is Water into Wine by Tommy Walker, graciously provided for free by Tommy and the good people who are changing the world at Tommy Walker Ministries. You can get the music for free and consider supporting Tommy's great work at TommyWalkerMinistries.org, TommyWalkerMinistries.org. And if you need prayer, go to the prayer wall, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer. Remember, friend, you can't change your life until you change your mind, and you have to start today. I'm Dr. Lee Warren, and I will talk to you soon. God bless you. Have a great day.